Okay, it is 6 o'clock p.m. on Thursday, December 26, 2024. We will call the Common Council meeting to order. Let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Middleton.
Here.
Varga absent. Romano.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
In front of you are the minutes from our last meeting on December 10th. There were a couple of different corrections that I sent to Rosie. One of those was the the spelling of Ariel Hernandez, her name. I gotta remember what the other one was. There was in the third paragraph of, I don't know, page 4 of your packet, it says, and that is a traumatic need. It should be a dramatic need. Did you see other things, Leslie?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve with the noted changes?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Jennifer, second by Leslie. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't vote. It's unanimous of those present. I'm so used to doing it in Board of Works. Okay, so before we get into our regular meeting, I want to recognize Dawn Boyd. So Dawn, if you'll come up real quick here. We'll have to get over here.
Okay.
So, council, as you are, you may be, maybe not aware, Dawn has served for, how many years now? 20 years for Plan Commission, BZA, etc. She is taking some time off now, and so December was her last set of meetings. But wants to spend, that's 2 nights a month. As you guys all know, it's a sacrifice, and so. And that's not just that, but then the prep time on top and all that kind of good stuff. So I just wanted to recognize Dawn for all of her service to our residents, to the city, to the Planning Commission, to the BZA, etc. Obviously big shoes to fill. But we wanted to give you a little gift of recognition, and thank you, Dawn. Appreciate all of your work, and yeah, so please help me and thank you so much. No, I'm so glad you can be here. So we appreciate your service, and obviously we'll certainly miss you, but appreciate all that you've done for the city, and congratulations on the now engagement of your daughter. So yes.
Get going some more. So, but if you ever need anything, give me a holler. And you fill in or something, just give me a holler.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. I know Nathan appreciates all your help as well. So
help you out.
So well, thank you very much.
Well, I hope you guys have a happy New Year.
Thank you. You as well. You as well. Thank you very much.
See you, Nate. Okay. Well, I'm gonna send feedback on my phone.
That's right. I bet you will. Thank you.
We'll see you.
Thank you. Have a great
Bye-bye.
night. Thank you. Next up is the rezone for 71 Radio Road. Nathan, I'll let you go ahead and come up first, and then we will take the actual ordinance into consideration.
Okay, so Nathan Belger, Planning Director. 24C REZ 2, this is up for your second reading. First reading was several months ago, and the petitioner requested to hold off on second reading until the new owner had a chance to close. It's my understanding that if they haven't actually closed on the property, it is scheduled, and this is your last meeting before the 90-day deadline as well. So the request is to rezone the former Braden, or the current Braden property, former Fiberform, I don't know what other names it's been under, factory on Radio Road, currently zoned I-1 light industrial. Request is to rezone it to GB general business in order to allow for the schools to establish a school use there. They want to use it for vocational programs. Exactly which ones is still in flux is my understanding, but building trades, welding are 2 major ones. Firefighting, I think, is another one that likely will be there. Nursing might be, and a couple others have also been talked about. It just depends on exactly what all they can put in there. Some of the other logistics, the trail going between the school property and this property is a nice amenity. Whether it can be fully utilized is yet to be figured out, but everybody is saying that in theory that will be a nice connection whenever that gets built. Next year, right?
Should be breaking ground here within the next couple months.
Okay. So that's the nature of the request. Comes with a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission. No real big issues were brought up with them other than just simply basically timing and what happens if the stool doesn't go in. And so again, delaying that helps to address that question. So.
Great. Questions of Nathan? Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate you being here. Plan Commission members that are on the council here, do you guys have anything else you want to add? I know at the last time we took this into consideration, I think you had some comments, but anything else that you want to add at this point?
No, I think
Not at this
everything, I mean, we had all of our discussion at the plan commission meeting, and it was all favorable. It was, probably what we look forward to is the school getting that and what the potential of that is
Yeah.
for our students and people that want to achieve academic,
Trades and
yeah,
everything.
yeah, I think it's a huge tool for our students, and it's a good location for that.
And the potential of, we continue to talk about that corridor into the city and the city or the schools having that property just kind of makes sense.
Yep.
And it'll clean that area up a little bit
Sure,
too. So,
sure.
That's another big plus.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to read ordinance 2024-19 by title only?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Dan, seconded by Jennifer. Further discussion? All those in favor should be the usual sign. It is unanimous of those present. Please read ordinance 2024-19 by title only.
Ordinance 2024-19, an ordinance amending the zoning classification of certain property from the I-1 Light Industrial District to the GB General Business District.
So yeah, I was gonna exactly say a lot of what you said, which is, the nice thing about our trail being there, I think will help give ease and accessibility to those individuals. Whether they choose to use it or not, it's still an accessibility there, which is kind of nice. So, any questions, comments, concerns about the ordinance? Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2024-19 on second and final reading?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Leslie. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Next up, let me get there real quick. We have ordinance 2024-28. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jenny, seconded by Leslie. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous. Please read ordinance 2024-28 by title only.
Ordinance 2024-28, an ordinance amending the zoning classification of certain property from the R2 two-family residential district to the R3 multifamily residential district to the I-1 light industrial district.
So as a reminder, this was discussed at, I think, our last meeting. But Nathan's here, so Nathan, I don't know if you want to add any additional information for the council on the Kilgore rezone.
Sure. To summarize, this is a rezoning from both R2 and R3. It's two discontiguous or separate areas being rezoned, both flanking each side of the current Kilgore location, one parcel along Line Street and three parcels along South Chauncey Street, all of which are adjacent to both residential and industrial as well as commercial. So it's a very tightly zoned area at that end of the city. Plan Commission really talked that through, gave consideration to the new downtown master plan that includes this area as a future development area. Doesn't have a lot of guidance as to what this would be, and that really was a huge discussion with the Plan Commission. What exactly do we want to see here? And I think I'll summarize it as, we're not really sure, but whatever happens with this rezoning, it'll help be a stepping stone for what else happens. This will help be new investment, dress up that area, and help guide what will happen with this. Of course, city's own plans will dovetail into this as well. So even though it doesn't exactly line up with all the different discussions of the rest of the downtown plan, again, it does set some guidance as to what will be happening here for the next few years at least. So that was, again, the biggest discussion. Of course, more general discussions about traffic and so on. I don't believe we had any residents speak, as I recall. Do you guys remember if any remonstrators were there? Anyway.
I was gonna say, I watched the video, I don't remember any
Yeah,
demonstrators being there.
I couldn't remember any either. So basically it comes to you with a favorable recommendation with general discussion, but again, the end result was a pretty strong favorable recommendation. So any questions for me?
Thanks, we didn't want to hinder the growth of the business when there's potential hirings,
And we don't know how long it'll be until something else is gonna happen there. It's already kind of hodgepodge in
Yeah.
that
Yep.
area,
Yep.
so
Yep.
the consistency of one business kind of having a space seems like
Yeah.
a good idea.
I think it's I think maybe I mentioned this last time, maybe not, but the redevelopment commission's property at the end of of Chauncey Street there. I think there is some interest by the redevelopment commission to have a mixed use, so some residential, some commercial, et cetera, in that area. So I just say that to say it probably fits better in the future than it does fit right at this moment. But ultimately, again, you have Smith Brothers that's there, which obviously is being acquired by Blue Eagle Towing. So, and the redevelopment commission is having conversations with them about that property as well. But ultimately, that area I think is going to continue to be a bit of a mishmash of different things in that area. Frankly, because that was a part of our industrial district, back in the day, if you will. It still really is in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I agree. Any other comments, questions, concerns?
For me personally, I think it's advantageous that we approve it. We don't want a business that's growing to move out of the city because they don't have enough room to be
Yeah,
able to
understand.
expand. So,
Yep. Agree. Anything else? Okay, do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2024-28 on second and final reading?
So moved.
second,
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Leslie. Further discussion? All those in favor show by the usual sign. It is unanimous of those present. Thanks, Nathan.
Mhm.
You can hang out if you want, or go on, whatever you want to do.
It's our only audience.
That's our own, well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'll hang out. It's
Okay,
fine.
okay. Well, it shouldn't be much longer, so. Next up is resolution 2024-27. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
Tell me.
second,
Motion by Jenny, second by Leslie. For the discussion. All those in favor should be the usual sign. It is unanimous of those present. Please read resolution 2024-27 by title only.
Resolution 2024-27, an emergency resolution providing for the transfer of appropriations for several departments of the City of Columbia City, Indiana for the year 2024 for the action and passage pursuant to IC 6.1.1-18-6.
This is the annual reappropriation, if you will, of dollars at the end of the year, at the end of the budget. So Rosie, do you want to talk through those? I mean, they're pretty well self-explanatory, but I don't know if you want to talk through them.
Yeah, I've been working on these for a few weeks, trying to come up with some extra money, first of all, to help with our insurance account. And if any of the departments needed money switched around. And there really isn't that much this year as far as what each department needed. So that's pretty much it. Got any
Yeah,
questions?
you can see the biggest thing in there is the group insurance. Our insurance fund, as you probably know or have been told, was hit pretty hard this year through claims, things like that. So you can see that that's really where the majority of the reappropriation came from. So, or I'm sorry, it's going to. So, any questions regarding resolution 2024-27? No? Okay. And this is since it's a resolution, we're okay with just one passing, correct? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2024-27 as presented?
So moved.
Second, motion to have it.
Motion by Jennifer, second by Jenny. Further discussion? All those in favor, show by the usual sign. It is unanimous of those present. Thank you. So we had 7 of the 9 department heads on vacation, so I let the other 2 not come in tonight. So, but Nathan, while you're here, do you have anything that you'd like to report to the council that hasn't been reported yet?
Wish you would have told me that at the beginning, I could add some notes. Oh, man, just kind of wrapping up for year end. So, yeah, I'll give you more next year, how about that?
Okay, that sounds good. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Rosie.
Just working with the mayor, cutting the budget.
Oh, you want me to do that? Okay. Okay.
Getting, we just had one major cut and working on the year-end balances of all the funds to make sure they're not high.
Great, thank you. A couple things for your information. Excuse me. Board of Works did sign off on the comprehensive plan update document, so we're gonna start moving forward on that. As Rosie mentioned, we worked on the kind of the small cuts we had to do this year, which was great. But I'm happy to say our assessed valuation increased by almost $57 million for assessed valuation wise. And our city tax rate was cut by 6 cents. So we are, I think, at the second lowest level we've been in about, give or take, 15 to 20 years from a tax rate perspective. So keep that in mind as you hear the legislature talk about how tax rates have just skyrocketed all over the city, or all over the state, excuse me. Our tax rate just went down 6 cents. So a couple other things, just so you're aware, something to kind of just start to think about a little bit. We'll talk more about it in the future, but I had my first task force funding Indiana's roads for a safer, stronger tomorrow. First task force meeting, the last one, last week. Was it last week? I think it was last week, yeah. And we created a report out of that, but I will tell you the rumbles from the legislature is that this year they're going to take a really hard look at communities that have not passed a wheel tax and surtax. So a couple years ago, the state of Indiana allowed cities with 5,000 or more population to pass their own wheel tax, surtax, rather than just rely on the county. The rumbles we're hearing is the legislature are going to put some boundaries on community crossings to say if you haven't passed your own wheel tax, then you don't have accessibility to community crossings. So, something to start mulling around in your mind. The legislature's, it sounds like, again, I can't tell you this for a fact, but it sounds like they're gonna force our hand when it comes to that, okay? So, something just to keep in mind. You got an email from me regarding our new deputy fire chief. So I've appointed our new deputy fire chief. Believe that officially goes into effect on Saturday, 28th. Yeah, that'd be Saturday. Yeah. So go ahead. You have a question about that?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the county's already having a.
Oh, go back, wheel tax. Okay. Yes.
The county already, we're part of the county.
Yes.
So then they're out telling us we have to have a wheel tax on top of the county's wheel tax.
That's correct, because the county has, and so then the other thing is, so, okay, let's back up. So you remember there was some conversation, Leslie, you wouldn't, but the rest of you would remember there was some conversation about maxing out the county wheel tax. You remember there was a presentation given to us at retreat about wheel tax, right? I think it was at retreat, right? And so the discussion about that was basically trying to get our buy-in for supporting that, right? Well, then it never actually came up with the county. So I can't answer all your questions because I'm still baptizing myself in that information and trying to figure out what that looks like. But I just say that to say that I think it's a compounding. So there is conversation about the fact that city residents are also county residents, so if there's a city wheel tax passed, then they're basically being double taxed, both as a county resident and as a city resident. So I think that is going into the conversation, and that certainly will be something that will be reiterated to legislators. And I'm not necessarily saying that's our legislators saying these things, I'm saying other legislators in leadership are starting to say these kind of things.
I don't think that,
So-
that's ridiculous.
Well, and there will be a time for us to fight that, yes. So I only say that to just give you a heads up about that. The other thing they're talking about is the lit rate, the local income tax rate, and whether or not that's been maxed out. And again, same kind of scenario where, at least right now, I'm not saying slightly different scenario, but right now, my understanding is that there is some ability that we have to actually pass our own income taxes that we didn't used to have, but the county has their own as well, so there is a similarity there. Again, we'll talk more about that as we move forward into the year. I'm not interested in passing any more taxes myself, but if they're gonna force our hand, we may not, I mean, we'll have a choice, but then we won't have access to federal, to state funds to pave our roads, which we've relied heavily on. So there are some things we'll talk through that, okay? So if you're watching as a resident, please know, we're not even having that conversation yet. I'm just bringing it up for conversation purposes, or for thought patterns. It gets us going, yeah. So the other thing that is obviously right now, you know, we have legislative stuff will really start after the beginning of the year. Starts a lot of conversation about property taxes. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you saw our property tax rates gone down pretty much across the state. That's what I'm hearing is property tax rates across the state are going down. But there's still a lot of conversation at the legislature about cutting property taxes, especially for those over 65. And there are pros and cons of that too, right? I mean, it's not that once you hit 65, you magically don't use city services anymore, but the other side of that is we also don't want residents being priced out of their homes because they can't pay the property taxes. So there's a double-edged sword on that. We'll have to, you know, again, the legislature will really have to struggle with that. But anytime you cut somebody's property taxes, somebody else has to pay for that. Now, the governor has been candid in saying that if they cut property taxes, it's not their responsibility to replace it, it's ours. So just have that in the back of your mind as well. So I'm not saying we're gonna have a disastrous session, I'm just saying there's a lot of warning flags out there right now that I'm not sure what's gonna happen, okay? I don't wanna be Debbie Downer, so I will tell you that I had a great drive around with Representative Judy on Monday. Just showing him all the projects that, you know, our tax dollars are going toward, and obviously the different things the state has helped fund and all those kind of great things. So a great conversation. You know, he's been a representative for long enough now. He knows the city well, and he is cognizant of if you cut, what that impacts. So that is a kind of a good thing to have. City Hall is closed on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, excuse me. And I will be out of the office next week, but you know, you can always get a hold of me by cell phone. I think that's all for right now. Dan?
I'm just really excited what next year's gonna bring.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things happening beyond our knowledge at this point that, I know there's some areas of development possible
Yeah.
on
Yep.
both the east and west sides, of just really in the north. I'm just really excited to see that start really happening now, because we gotta grow, but we gotta be able to control growth.
Yes.
So, you know, it's just exciting to see Columbia City moving. You know, Columbia City is a half of a place,
Yep.
and I think, you know, a lot of great things are gonna be happening here in the very, very near future. So.
It's always that balance of growing so that you stay alive,
Right.
but not losing the small town feel that we all know and love. Frankly, what probably brought us to here, or at least keeps us here, right? So it's always that balancing act. But again, as you well know, and you guys hear too, is that our residents want more. They want more service, they want more restaurants, they want more shops. So it's all those balancing acts, right?
Because I can remember when I first came
Yep.
on, It's like, why do people come to Columbia City? There's no answer.
Yeah.
You know, now we got trails, we got a pool, we got parks, we got, you know, we got a lot of amenities now that help draw people to Columbia City, and that will draw business and so, and residents.
Yes.
You know, the number one thing I heard at AIM conference was everybody was complaining of not having enough housing.
Yes,
It's just
that is
amazing.
true.
I was shocked to hear that from all the cities and towns, you know, and we're in that same boat, quite honestly. So it's kind of exciting to see that, you know, people are wanting to come here and live, and, you know, so I'm just excited about the future of what's going to
I
happen.
think next year is gonna be another fast and furious year. And I think, but I think it'll be culmination of a lot of things that have been in the works for a while. Obviously, the trail is a big part of that. That's been 5 years in the making, so I'll be really happy to get that thing connected and be done with it. And so it's accessible to our community. So, well, and you know, again, and I mean, to that point, you know, we'll have $2 million worth of paving happening across the city. We'll have our comprehensive plan update that will be happening. We'll have Eagle Park first phase, hopefully finally done with the skate park, right? And as well as some additional amenities there potentially. And so, yeah, we got a lot of things on the horizon, and that's all just city development. That's not all the private development that's has potential right now. So thanks for that. Anything else, Dan?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Jennifer,
So we announced the winners of
I saw
the
that.
municipal lighting contest. There were
Yes.
some great entries again this year, and we have some winners. I'm guessing we'll be inviting them to a meeting sometime in January.
The letters went out today.
Fantastic.
There you go.
If any of the winners are listening, I do want to tell them, be sure to bring your sign with you
Yes.
before you receive your prize.
Yes, appreciate that. And if you could keep your lights on till after New Year's, I think a lot of our residents
Yes,
appreciate that as well.
residents
So
would like to go
if you
around
happen to be
and
watching.
so.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yep, that's all.
Thank you. Jenny
I have nothing.
and Leslie.
I survived my first year on council.
Congratulations, you made it. You made it.
I learned a lot, there's still a lot
Yes.
to learn, but it's been a fun journey so far.
Good,
so.
good. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for your service there. And Marcia wanted me to wish you all a happy New Year. She was here for board and since we got done, 15 minutes? I think in 15 minutes she said, do I need to stay? And I said, nah, you can go. So anyway, well, thank you all. Thank you for a great year. 2024 was busy, and I think 25 is shaping up to be about the same, but I think we're accomplishing great things together. Our residents, while yes, there are individuals that maybe don't agree with everything we do, there are a lot of people that are happy with what's happening. And we're going to continue working hard for them into the next year. So thanks, everybody. We have no press and we have no media, so we will call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.